Howdy and welcome back to the Wasteland, everybody. Welcome back to Fallout New Vegas, where today we're going to be going over a build of how to make a cowboy build in New Vegas. We're also going to be talking about how strong it is, what kind of weapons, and what kind of start and everything that you can kind of expect, as well as what your end game is going to look like by the end. So first things first, with any character build, we got to be going over the special stats. For strength, we're running 6. You don't really need more than 6 for any of the weapons that you're going to be using. You can also get +1 thanks to the strength implant later, as well as once you go to Old World Blues, you can get the reinforced spine. You can go up to 9. You can use whatever you'd like. You don't need this many strength points in your build if you wouldn't like to. You can actually drop this by a little bit if you want to put them somewhere else. Perception, we're running at 5. Cowboys need to be rather perceptive, and with 5 perception, it pretty much gets us to all the perks that you might want to have with this build. Either way, you don't really need a whole lot of perception. For endurance, we're going to go with the good old 9 endurance. That way we have plenty of tankiness, just in case a Brahmin kicks us in the head or whatever might happen to us. For charisma, we're rocking the good old 1. Charisma really depends if you want to be running companions or not. If you want to drop your strength and buff this one up, you could also drop your endurance and buff this one up too. If you want to take like Cassie, or if you want to take Raoul, I feel like those two would probably be the best companions for a cowboy build. But hey, in a whole lot of cowboy movies, or at least gunslinger movies, generally the cowboy is rather alone, so 1 charisma seems fine for this type of build. For intelligence, we're going with a good old 5. We don't really need all that much intelligence for a cowboy build, because we're only going to really be maxing out the stuff that we're planning on using, and that's not too many skills, so we'll talk about those in just a little bit. Agility, we're going with 8. This affects your reload speed, and a cowboy needs to reload quickly, especially with the guns that we're going to be picking, so the more agility the better. You could also potentially drop that strength point and put this one up to 9 as well to max it out thanks to the implant. And then we're going with the good old 6 luck. If you want to be going with a crit cowboy, then buff this one up a little bit more, but if not, you're going with the standard cowboy. 6 luck should be plenty. For our tag skills, we're going to be tagging repair, guns, and survival. These ones I think fit the cowboy build the best. Guns, because we will need something to attack with, even though we do have a decent amount of melee weapons, and we will need a little bit of that to actually get the cowboy perk. Repair to fix up your guns as well as to make your own ammo is going to be super useful for this build. It's also really good for some of the early perks that we might need. And survival just fits the cowboy build really well as it does affect certain perks, and you can be making more stuff at campfires if you'd really like. And then the last things for our traits for our build, I'd recommend going with Built to Destroy. This will give us extra crit chance for our cowboy build, and most of the cowboy guns are pretty durable, so you don't really have to worry about repairing them too often. And then Fast Shot, because we got to be the fastest shot in the West, might as well go with Fast Shot so that you can shoot things even faster. Fast Shot is fantastic, I really like it. There's also Trigger Discipline that you could take with this too if you want a different trait. Trigger Discipline does fit this build really well too. Just really like the faster rate of fire, more of the gunslinger type thing, rather than really slow and wait and take your shots with any of your guns in this. I think that fits a little bit better. Also, never take a Fast Shot and Trigger Discipline in the same build. They don't only cancel each other out, but they actually give you a negative. So, yeah, that's really bad. Never do that. Starting out, we do kind of start out with 2 cowboy weapons, at least if you have all the DLCs, where we start out with the Sturdy Caravan Shotgun, a pretty decent shotgun, and I would say an under and over double barrel. Definitely fits the cowboy era, even though technically I don't think under and over double barrels were around at that time. I think they came a little bit later, but regardless, this one fits. I would say the single shotgun fits, and same with like the lever action. Even the pump action fits with this, so if you want to be running shotguns, go for it. The only one that I would say wouldn't really fit with the cowboy build would be like the riot shotgun. That one's a little bit too late. You also start out with the broad machete. Machete seems perfect for a cowboy build too if you want to be running that, as well as any sort of combat knife, or especially the Bowie knives that you can get in the Lonesome Road. So those can be our melee weapons if we would like to use them. At least for something a little bit more close range. Once you get outside Doc Mitchell's house, be sure to head to the bar as well. Steal all the whiskey that you can there. That's going to be necessary for a cowboy build. 100%, you need that. Especially if you want to have Cassie on your team too. Like, you can make better use of the whiskey. And most importantly, in the bar, there's also a 357 revolver stuck in a cup. You can steal this, and that will be our starting gun, because the 357 revolver is decent enough. It's not a bad weapon, even though it does have a slow reload, and it does shoot kind of slow since it's a single action only revolver, but it fits the cowboy theme really well, does good damage. You can potentially get some decent upgrades for it too with the long barrel and with the HD cylinder on this. You could just wait a couple days in Good Springs if Chet doesn't have this, potentially get them, and then make your build a little bit stronger. The HD cylinder gives you more HP, the longer barrel gives you more damage, and the great thing about the 357 revolver is that it doesn't actually jam ever, so that's super useful. You never have to worry about the durability for this gun, other than it doing more damage. So you might as well grab this. Be sure to grab some 357 ammo from Chet, and also be sure to get some 38 special rounds, which can also go into any of the 357 guns, so that can be a little bit of a cheaper option for you, as well as it'll break your gun a little bit slower. Once you got that done, you got the tutorial completed in Good Springs, this is where you could really go and wander around the world. Now there's quite a few options. I'd recommend the first place that you stop though is a little ways down the road at Prim, where you're going to be going anyway for the main quest. You don't actually have to stop here and do the main quest, but I would recommend that you go and ransack the sheriff's office, since he recently passed away and he won't be needing that cowboy repeater that he keeps underneath his bed, nor will he need his sheriff's clothes, so you have a pretty decent outfit to wear. Is the sheriff outfit good for like actual tankiness? No, but it fits the cowboy theme really well, so you might as well throw that on there. The cowboy repeater under the bed is also sometimes a little bit hard to find, but if you do get it, it's nearly broken. If you started out with all the DLCs though, you should have some weapon repair kits. You could have also made some weapon repair kits if you have high enough repair, and then you can fix up the cowboy repeater, and then you're pretty good to go. There is also one other gun that you could potentially pick up here in Prim as well. If you have 75 lockpicking, which you might not right away, but if you would like to come back to Prim, you can go into the Steve Bison Hotel and you can get yourself Lucky. Lucky is the upgraded 357 revolver. It shoots faster, it reloads faster, it looks way nicer, it has extra crit chance. It is arguably one of the nicest looking guns in all of New Vegas. I would highly recommend that you grab that one. And if you got that in your cowboy repeater, all you need is 357 ammo on you, and you're pretty good to go. This can carry you throughout most of the game. From this point forward, if you're looking for some better armor, I'd highly recommend that you go and do the Honest Hearts DLC right away. The main reason for this is that you can get the Desert Ranger combat armor there, and it's super easy to get, and that's one of the best armors in the game, at least for a build like this. I think it fits the cowboy theme, even though like the Ranger combat armor isn't really entirely cowboy inspired. It's definitely Western inspired though. And this armor is really, really good. This gives you 22 defense and it only weighs 30. It is medium armor, so you're not going to be able to run around quite as quick, and you will need to fix this up or have somebody else fix this up, so that can be a little bit rough. But once you hit around level like 14 and you can grab jury rigging, then you're pretty good to go for this type of build. Aside from that, when you're in Zion, you could also grab the War Club too, which fits with the cowboy build as well, since it also counts towards the perk cowboy. Let's also talk about the perks and the things that you probably want to grab. First perk for a cowboy build I'd recommend is rapid reload. You can take this one at level 2 and it gives you a faster reload speed. Very useful for really any of the cowboy guns because they all have a fairly long reload if you empty them all the way out. So reloading them faster is pretty useful. Although this one is kind of bugged in two ways, where you still have to go through like the whole animation, so if you have really high agility and rapid reload, it might take a little second for your gun to actually be levered so that you could go again, or for the cylinder to turn so you can actually shoot. That's a little bit annoying. The other bug about it is that if you ever load into a game, then you'll have the opposite effect of the reload speed. So it will actually give you negative reload speed. To fix this, just swap off the weapon and swap back to it and you're good to go. Next perk I'd recommend is the level 6 perk hand loader. Very useful. This one makes so you can make custom ammo. Cowboy loves custom ammo. This also gives you some really good options. You got the semi-wad cutters for both the 44 Magnum as well as the 4570, which are probably going to be like your end game guns. You also have the jacketed flat points for the 357, which are fantastic too, since they have no downside. They just make your gun more accurate, do more damage, and punch through armor. So it helps out a lot in that early game if you want to be going with Lucky or the Cowboy Repeater or both of them. After that, at level 8, I'd highly recommend that you get Cowboy. Cowboy is super useful. You're going to have to put a little bit of points into melee. Most of your build is probably going to be going towards like guns, repair, and survival, and then you'll probably get a little bit of like lock picking, maybe a little bit of melee just to get to this perk. And then after that, you can kind of build whatever. You don't need a whole lot of points to max out your cowboy build. Cowboy gives you 25% more damage with all of our cowboy guns and blades and dynamite, so if you want to be throwing those, go for it. It's a very, very good perk. Also at level 8, you could pick up the perk Quick Draw. This just makes it so you can draw and holster your weapon 50% faster. Definitely thematic for the build, not really that great of a perk overall, but definitely fits this build. Also at level 8, you could get Home on the Range. This one isn't really that good, but it fits the cowboy build really well. It just makes it so you can rest at campsites whenever you'd like. Definitely fitting there. We also have the level 28 perk Roughing It that you can get as well. This one gives you the well-rested effect at campsites. This one is absolutely terrible as an actual perk, but it does fit the build really well, so I'd recommend that you take it. I'd also recommend Them's Good Eatings at level 20. It fits the cowboy build really well. Anytime you kill the critters, you have a chance of getting blood sausage and thin red paste, amazing healing items, and they can make your cowboy build a little bit more richer because you're going to be needing some money for some of the other guns that we're going to get for this build. And then the final perk I'd recommend for this build would also be the level 50 perk. Ain't like that now. This is the negative karma perk, so it's a little bit harder to get because it's a lot easier to get good karma than bad karma. But if you do get bad karma, this one's fantastic for the extra rate of fire that it gives you, or just extra attack speed in general for all weapons. For the end game gear that you want to get to for your cowboy build, you're definitely going to want the Ranger Sequoia as your secondary, as your pistol. You can get this pretty easily if you go and do the quest Return to Sender, which you can do basically at any time. You just have to run around the map for that, and then by the end you get yourself a Ranger Sequoia. You will have to steal it, but you still get one, and this one is a very powerful weapon, puts down basically anything. Use the big old 45-70 round. You can put semi-wad cutters in this, which does break the gun fairly fast, but it makes so you get more armor pen. You could also throw hollow points into this to get even more damage, since almost nothing has enough armor to really matter once you have hollow points in this anyway. As well as the Ranger Sequoia just looks amazing, so highly recommend that gun. For a rifle, you're going to want to be taking the Medicine Stick. That one is probably the best lever action rifle. And you just have to buy this one. So once you have enough money, just buy it from the gun runners. It's going to cost you a ton, but it's an 8-round 45-70, does really high damage, reloads fairly fast, has a really nice ghost ring sight, and can put down basically anything. With these two combined, then you basically have your primary secondary setup, and they both use the same ammo. You could also try your hand at going for the 44 Magnum, which doesn't necessarily fit the cowboy build too well. The 44 Magnum is still a revolver, but it's kind of more of a later revolver than the other two that we got, so I think those two fit a little bit better. You could also go with the Trail Carbine, which also fits the cowboy build really well too. You could even potentially get this if you end up going up north to grab Chance's knife. There is a raider up there that you can take it off of if you're willing to fight him at noon, I guess, or just shoot him in the back. That's a whole lot easier. So that's how you build a cowboy build. Now, how good is the cowboy build? Very strong. Cowboy is a really good build, or a gunslinger type build like this is really, really good, especially in New Vegas, because the revolvers are all pretty strong. The 357 is a solid option in the early game, even though it is a little bit sluggish, but if you're high agility, it's not too bad. Or if you just swap on and off it, then you don't have to worry about the reload speed too much. That's a little trick there. The cowboy repeater is fantastic for pretty much the entire game. You never really need to swap off it if you don't really want to, and it does have some pretty good customizations as well, so long as you can find them. Sometimes they're a little bit rare. The 44 options can be really good in the mid-game if you don't plan on just skipping ahead to the 45-70 variants. And the 45-70 guns with the Ranger Sequoia and the Medicine Stick are among two of the best guns in the game. The only major con with going like a cowboy build is that if there is a whole lot of small enemies potentially swarming you, you do kind of have to make your shots count. So that can be kind of rough if you end up running into like Kaz doors. And that'll do it for the cowboy build in New Vegas. Cowboy build is fantastic. It's a go-to build. Tell me what other type of builds you'd like to see in New Vegas or the other Fallout game, because we can either go for general builds like this or go for themed character builds. You're probably going to have a really good time with the cowboy builds. So thank you guys so very much for watching this. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.